Premature coherence as a systemic risk describes a structural condition in which a meaning-bearing system becomes coherent before it has accumulated enough differentiation, variation, or interpretive capacity to support that coherence. The central distinction is simple. Coherence is not maturity. Alignment is not resolution. Stability is not understanding. A system may appear organized, consistent, and ready for decision, while the distinctions that should have shaped the decision have not yet been preserved. The danger is not that coherence exists. The danger is that coherence arrives too early. Premature coherence appears when a system is under pressure to stabilize before its field has been sufficiently opened. It can occur wherever meaning must be organized under time, visibility, or coordination pressure. In such conditions, coherence begins to function as closure. Unresolved distinctions are compressed into shared language. Open tensions are reframed as inconsistency. Divergent signals are treated as noise. Alternative paths become harder to keep available, not because they have been tested and rejected, but because the system has already formed a stable surface. The system looks more mature than it is. Its language becomes smoother. Its categories become more stable. Its outputs become easier to circulate. But beneath that surface, semantic resolution has been lost. The problem is not confusion. The problem is premature clarity. A confused system may still contain unresolved possibilities. A prematurely coherent system may no longer know where those possibilities went. The mechanism can be described in 4 steps. First, a complex condition enters a field that demands alignment. Second, the system reduces variation so that communication can proceed. Third, reduction becomes closure. Differences that should remain visible are absorbed into the dominant structure. The system stops preserving the uncertainty that made the problem complex. Fourth, coherence becomes self-reinforcing. Once a stable framing exists, later evidence must pass through it. What fits becomes confirmation. What does not fit becomes friction, delay, or error. This is systemic risk. It does not merely create a wrong answer. It changes the conditions under which future answers can appear. In AI-mediated environments, fluent outputs can appear before the underlying situation has been sufficiently interpreted. Premature coherence should not be confused with coherence itself. Coherence is necessary. Without coherence, systems cannot communicate, coordinate, remember, or act. Earned coherence appears after sufficient differentiation has been preserved, tested, and integrated. Premature coherence appears before that process has occurred. Earned coherence increases resolution. Premature coherence reduces it. Earned coherence makes later correction possible. Premature coherence makes later correction structurally expensive. The condition becomes visible when the system becomes easier to explain while becoming less able to perceive what it has excluded. It becomes visible when the same terms begin to solve too many problems. It becomes visible when alignment is treated as evidence that interpretation is complete. The boundary of this model is important. It does not argue against clarity, decision, or synthesis. It describes the risk that clarity, decision, and synthesis may appear before the system has preserved enough semantic resolution to make them reliable. The minimal formulation is this. Premature coherence occurs when the system becomes stable by losing the distinctions it still needed to understand. Naming declaration. The premature coherence as systemic risk model originates within meta-writing ecology as a structural model describing how semantic alignment, symbolic stabilization, or representational closure can arrive before a meaning-bearing system has developed sufficient differentiation, variation, or interpretive capacity. Here, coherence means the produced appearance of alignment, continuity, compatibility, or resolved form. Prematurity means a timing failure in which closure arrives before the field has accumulated enough resolution to support it. Systemic risk means that the resulting loss affects the system's future capacity to learn, correct, differentiate, or reopen interpretation. This model is not derived from consensus theory, organizational alignment, deliberative governance, AI ethics, systems optimization, or knowledge management literature. These fields may intersect with it, but they do not define its bloodline. The model belongs to meta-writing ecology as a structural account of coherence, becoming closure before resolution has been earned.